Hello lovelies, welcome back to this channel. In this video I'll be sharing with you guys how I made this top. So if you're interested, keep watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful. So these are the measurements we'll be needing for this tutorial. Let's get started. I'll be cutting this directly on my fabric. So the first thing we'll do is to place our cup on our fabric and then mark out our underbust measurement. My underbust is 13. I marked it at the lower part of the cup. So after marking your underbust measurement, you connect the points. You can use your rule to connect the points. This line is going to serve as an underbust line. The next thing to do is to mark out our top length. I used 19 for this. So I marked down 19 and then I connected the points, the straight line. The next thing I did was to measure ½ inch from the center front. Guys, please don't forget this fabric is on fold. I measured ½ inch on the center front down to the underbust points. So you can see I placed my cup on the ½ inch I measured like that, and then the base of the cup is touching the underbust line I had already drawn. So the next thing to do is to trace the cup. Please, this cup is bouncy, so when you are tracing it, you just have to be very careful with that part. The next thing to do is to mark out the bust measurement divided by 4. Mine is 32 divided by 4. I marked it down, and then which is 8, and then I added my seam allowance. I added 2 inches seam allowance. You can decide to add any seam allowance you are comfortable with using. The next thing to do is to mark down the waist measurement. So my waist is 26 divided by 4, which is 6.5, and then I added 2 inches for seam allowance. The next thing I did was to connect from the upper part where we had already marked our bust measurement down to the waist measurement. So this is how it looks. You can see how I marked that point to indicate where the cup is going to start from. So the next thing you do is to mark out ½ inch allowance. This is going to serve as the allowance for sewing our cups. So you mark out ½ inch. I added ½ inch on the upper part of the front and also on the side, upper part of the side front. I added ½ inch sewing allowance. So the next thing to do is to cut out like so. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful. So this is how the front looks like. Let's get to the back. So for the back, I just folded my fabric into 2, and then I marked the point. Like I'm just tracing this front on the back pattern. My fabric is actually long because of the back tie. You get to see it in the course of the video. So I just traced the front pattern on this piece, and then this is how it looks. Then I created the neckline for the back. You can leave yours straight. For me, I went down by 3 inches because I wanted it very deep, and then I connected it to this side point we had already traced from the front, and this is how it looks. So you can extend your center back to how long you want your tie to be. But if you want a zipper, you can also add a zipper allowance. I did not add a zipper allowance for this because I'm tying mine. I actually made mine very long, and on the lower part of the center back I went up by 1 inch and then I slanted it. Sorry, I lost that clip. So this is how it looks. I just extended the center back, making it long, very long, to be able to tie the back. The next thing we'll do is to sew. So we'll be draping on our cups. You just cut a long piece of rectangular fabric and place it like so. We use our pins for this. You can drape it to any direction you want. For mine, this is how I did it. So you pick it like this, you pin from the upper part, you pin, and also on the lower part you are going to pin it. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. So after pinning, you continue this until you get to the ends of the cups. So this is how you do it. You just have to be careful, don't rush it, take your time, and then you can drape any size you also want. You can make yours bigger, you can make it small. This is the size I wanted, so this is how it looks after draping. You can see how beautiful this looks already. This is how the inner part looks. The next thing to do is to trim off the excess fabric. So you trim it off carefully like this. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification to get notified each time I post a new video. This is how it looks after trimming the excess fabric. So we are just going to use our machine to sew this round. I've gone ahead to sew it down. The next thing to do is to take off our pins. So the next thing we'll do is to cut our lining for the cups. What I did was to place the cups and then trace it round like this. Remember, this fabric is unfold. They're going to be cutting 4 pieces of this. So this unfold, I cut 2, and then I cut another 2 off camera. So after tracing it, the next thing we'll do is to add 1/2 inch round this cup. So you add 1/2 inch round. Please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. After marking the 1/2 inch, the next thing to do is to cut out like so. So after cutting it out, the next thing we'll be doing is to sew our lining piece. So this is how it looks. I cut 4 pieces of this, like I said. So you place it like this and sew the mid part. I actually notched the midpoint, so I'll be sure of which part is the midpoint. So this is how it is after sewing. I went ahead to top stitch, and then this is our cups. I just marked the middle point with my chalk like this. That was why I folded it into 2. I marked the middle point, then I placed the lining piece, the middle point, on that point. You can pin this down, take it to the sewing machine and sew the upper part. So I'll just take this and stitch it down and come and show you guys how it looks. So after stitching it down, this is how it looks. I went ahead to top stitch, and then the next thing I'll do is to go and sew it like this. This is how it looks after sewing. I'll just use my scissors to trim off the excess fabric. You can use a lining for yours. You can use the fabric for your lining if you have enough fabric. I use my fabric as my lining. So this is how it looks. The both cups are ready. So guys, I also cut a lining piece for this part of the front. The next thing we'll do is to take it to a sewing machine and sew the upper part like so. Sew the side and the other side, and also sew the lower part because we are going to be turning this inside out. After that, this is how it looks. I went ahead to top stitch the lower part. Then this is how it looks. The next thing we'll do is to take this to our sewing machine and still stitch round the cups and also the sides to hold it down. Then I'll take this to the sewing machine, stitch it down and show you guys how it looks. So this is how it looks after stitching down. What I'll be doing now is to trim off the excess lining on the cups area of this front piece So after trimming it off, the next thing we'll do is to place our cups and sew it on the allowance we left initially. You have to be careful with this step. Take your time and do it so it will come out looking nice. So you're just going to sew it round. So this is how it looks after attaching the cups. For this part, you finish it using an overlocking stitch. This is how the back piece looks. I've already gone ahead to use my bias to turn the upper part, the lower part, and this other side. So the next thing to do is to place our back on the front piece and sew it down using the allowance we left initially as our seam allowance. Please don't forget to subscribe because I have a lot of videos coming up on this channel, and also turn on the notification bell to get notified whenever I post a new video. So I'm just going to take this to the sewing machine and sew it down and show you guys how it looks. This is how it looks after sewing it down. For the sleeves, you can attach any sleeve of your choice. I used a long sleeve and this is how I cut it out. I'll be using elastic for the upper part and the lower part of my sleeve. So I have attached the sleeve and this is how it looks. I used elastic for the lower part and the upper part. This is how it looks. So I just went ahead to just stitch the sleeve on the side of the top. You can drop your questions in the comments. Please don't forget to subscribe. Bye.